Hello, founders, and welcome to the Startup Foundations podcast. I'm your host, Greg Miaskiewicz. Today on the show, I chat with Dorna Moini, CEO and co-founder of Documate, a legal document automation startup. We chat about how Dorna left behind her successful career in law to pursue her own startup, and as well as how Documate pivoted into the product that it is today. So tell us the founding story of Documate. How did you end up leaving your career in law behind to become an entrepreneur?
Yeah, so I was a lawyer. I technically still am a lawyer because I still pay my bar dues every year. But I I practiced at a large law firm, but I also did a lot of pro bono work. And at the time, right before I started Documate, I was doing a lot of pro bono work with domestic violence survivors. And I found that a lot of the work that I was doing for them was routine and form based. And those were really just the initial stages of the case. So a lot of heavy document based and really process oriented work was being done at the beginning of the case. And in pro bono work, you only really get a certain number of hours that you can do per year without sacrificing your main practice. So what I wanted to do was spend that time on the more high value tasks, like representing the client in court or giving them fact intensive or legal intensive advice. And so at the time, what I did was I got together with my now co-founder, because I'm not an engineer. And what we did is we built out almost like a TurboTax, if you will, for those of you who know, those people who know the analogy. So a step-by-step process that would take you down a series of questions and a decision tree, and then generate the initial documents in the case for you. So we built a TurboTax for domestic violence survivors. And then we launched the platform to a bunch of legal aid organizations and to consumers who were using it for the domestic violence process, and used it a lot within my firm for the pro bono attorneys. But through that process, what we realized was that there was a much bigger need than just this one tool. Because what we had built for domestic violence was almost like a legal Zoom for domestic violence survivors or some sort of publicly facing tool. But what we realized was that lots of other areas of law were amenable to this type of automation. And what the real barrier that stood in our way was that lawyers didn't know technology. And so that's what led us to build Documate. We're now a no-code platform for building not only document automation, but really full-fledged legal applications that you can provide to the public and really reduce the time and effort that it takes to generate documents and lower the cost of legal services overall.
So much for joining us, Dorna.
Thank you so much, Greg, for having me.
All right, bye. Thanks for listening to the Startup Foundations podcast, a podcast that tells the stories of startup founders and how they built their companies from the ground up. Until next time, keep building and keep innovating.